The Romanian Fusgeyers were the Jews who decided to walk through their country and then cross all of Europe. Who were they? When Wallachia and Moldavia united after the 1848 revolution, the new country of Romania was created. In 1866, a constitution was produced, and the 7th article stated that Romanian citizenship would be restricted to the Christian population only. Romanian Jews, who had been in this region from the time of the Romans, were now foreigners, and anti-Semitism had become part of national identity. The Fusgeyers were the Romanian Jews who, unable to find work, suffering pogroms and blood libels, were determined to leave their country and to do that in a very visible way. Organizing themselves into groups, they decided they would walk all across Romania, then across Europe, until they reached the ports and the ships that would carry them to America. Calling themselves Fusgeyers, which means footgoers, walkers, or pedestrians, they were all healthy, professional men and women, tradespeople, artisans, workers, and students, who trained themselves in long-distance walking and vowed to share their last morsel of bread with one another. Fusgeyer groups organized themselves in cities all across Romania. The Fusgeyer movement lasted from 1899 to around 1907. It's unknown how many Fusgeyer groups existed and how many participants there were in each, although most ranged from between 40 and 300 walkers. Before leaving their homes, the Fusgeyers established a press in which they bid farewell to their old homeland in sentimental songs, poems, and stories, and appealed for financial aid. Dozens of these newspapers and brochures appeared, but there was never more than one issue of each, and they were sold to raise money. Funds were also raised when the Fusgeyers gave amateur theatrical performances or choral concerts in towns along the way. They carried lanterns for walking at night and marched into towns with an organized, military-like pomp. It was no doubt this display of dignity and courage that roused the admiration of the populace. Fusgeyers recounted how impoverished Romanian peasants waited for them along the road, offering water, bread, food, tobacco, wine, and blessings for a safe journey. Although the original idea had been to cross all of Europe on foot, they were stopped when they reached the border. The Austro-Hungarian government, overwhelmed by stragglers and beggars on their roads, passed laws allowing only those with train tickets into their country. Because of this, charitable Jewish organizations throughout Europe raised money to pay for train tickets for the refugees. During the Second World War, the Yiddish periodical The Blätter offered a prize for the best immigrant story, and the winner was Jacob Finkelstein, writer of Memoirs of a Fusgeyer from Romania to America. I first read about the Fusgeyers in Irving Howe's World of Our Fathers, and even though all information was contained in a few brief sentences, my imagination was fired. I wrote to Yivo, asked for a copy of Finkelstein's memoir. It did take a while before I could translate it from the original Yiddish. When I finished, I was obsessed by the idea of following Finkelstein's itinerary and crossing Romania on foot. I would then continue along the immigrant trail through Budapest, Vienna, Nuremberg, Frankfurt, Rotterdam, London, and Liverpool, and on to America. I wanted to see if there was still any trace of the Fusgeyers' passage in archives or in memory, although I was well aware that the quest could be futile. Still, I thought that luck would see me through, and that did happen to be the case in several places. In the city archives of Nuremberg, a kindly but apologetic archivist, explained that all records of that city's Jewish community from 1890 to 1930 were destroyed by the Nazis. He did say that only one document from 1901 had somehow survived. Was I interested in seeing it? And when it arrived, I saw that it was a report from the Nuremberg Firth Jewish community, and the main topic was the Romanian immigrants who were at that very moment in the train station. Another highly emotional moment was when I was in Regina, Saskatchewan, looking for traces of former Jewish farming communities. And someone happened to mention that the father of a woman named Edith Kleiman had been a Fusgeyer. Highly excited, I called her and begged her to meet me. Then I raced across the city in a mad dash. When I was finally face to face with Edith, I asked her to tell me everything her father had said about being a Fusgeyer. She looked at me, amused. Well, he never said anything. He didn't want to talk about those days. They were over. He was here now, in Canada.